Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to SwitchUp, I hope you're having a lovely weekend. Congrats to the winner of the free game this week, your name is on the screen right now. We give away a free game each and every week, just to someone that we choose that's active on the channel, that leaves comments, and that we think, yes, that is interesting. There is a chance this video will make it more lovely, or less, depending on the state of your backlog, but regardless, save yourself a bit of cash, whether you're buying physically or digitally, all the links are in the description. Now, the question is, what are the best games on sale this week? Well, my name's Mark Walker, welcome back to the channel, click all the buttons, now, let's find out. The first game is actually the sponsor of the episode, and it's one that I've been playing over on Steam for a little bit. It's called Spells and Secrets. It's currently 20% off, and if you've got Harry Potter, put it into a top-down perspective, and then made it an action puzzler that also featured 1 or 2 player local co-op, then yeah, this is what you've got. Now, we will have a full video of this next week, but I thought it's worth sticking in here because of that pre-launch sale. You can create your own character. There is a storyline as well, featuring a rather nefarious, I think it's a wizard, he absolutely wrecked me, but you have to save and help your fellow classmates, whilst also exploring the ever-changing castle. Now get this, the castle is called Castle Griffinstein. It's developed by Alchemist Interactive and published by Merge Games, and it's just a 2.5GB download. But yeah, from what I've played so far, it was good fun. Keep your eyes peeled for that full video. That one's £19.99, that's 20% off until November the 15th, with it releasing on November the 9th. Then I am delighted to announce that BALDO, the Guardian Owls, which we did a video of on Friday, has its final free update. Now, if you don't know, BALDO released in a pretty shocking state, and the awesome guys over at Nap's team, the development studio, they basically worked on it for the last 3+ years. Added in, I think it was 3 DLCs, and then there's a final one that's out now that is called The Final Chapter, and there's a whole video of it on this channel if you want to go check that out. I'll pop a link in the description. But this is very much an old school Zelda experience with old school dungeons and a massive world. With all of the content they've added, you're now looking at a total length of around 70 hours. And for me, that just deserves support. Like, that is quality. There's no reason for them to do that. It had already sold a ton of copies, but they wanted to, and yeah, hats off. It's currently £15.74, or your regional equivalent, that's 30% off. It very, very rarely gets a sale, and that goes on until November the 15th. HIJO, A Wild West Tale, is currently 65% off. That's the cheapest it's ever been, it's £6.29. And this one's like a mixture of an adventure game. There's a bit of stealth in here as well, and even maybe a bit of strategy. Now, I played this way back when it came out. I was hoping to do a review of it, but we didn't get a chance. Even then, I would have said it's not amazing. It, for me, is very much a sales pickup, but I still think it's decent. And at this price, like, well worth it. It essentially starts out when a farmer and her son are attacked by bandits, and she leaves the kid at a monastery to try and protect him. And yeah, the game starts from there. It describes itself as a non-violent stealth game, and it kind of plays on the whole, you know, kids are good at hide and seek and that kind of thing. So it almost creates this childlike world around a serious situation. The locations look quite stunning. I love this style. And I think for me, it's the storyline that really sells it. It really is well done. That one I think was developed by Chronicles Studios. It's 4 gigs to download, and it will take around 8 to 10 hours to finish. That sale goes on until November the 16th. I can never say this right. I think it's Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. Oh, whatever. It's 50% off, but only for the next couple of days. So if you're interested, pick it up quickly. Now, you've probably heard that there's a sequel. This is like a prequel to a bigger game that's coming out. And I did a review of this on the channel, and I really enjoyed it. You like arrive to this small town, essentially do a load of jobs for people, and you have to go into like a cave system and fight in an action way. In an action way. What a description that is. Well done, Mark. You smashing this one, mate. Fighting in an action way. But I really enjoyed it. That combat kind of reminded me a bit of Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. But you're joined by a kangaroo with essentially the Buster Sword called GYRO. And it sets up the story before the 100 Heroes, which I believe is the main game that's coming out quite soon. Enjoyed it a lot. Well worth the 15 to 20 hours it will take to finish. 3.9 gigs. And yeah, that sale goes on until November the 6th. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night doesn't need much introduction. I've talked about it a few times, so I'm not going to bang on about it. It's 70% off. It's a Metroidvania. It had some performance issues at launch, but it is actually still a very good game. It matches its cheapest ever price at 70% off, as I say, and Miriam makes for a really interesting character to play as. Some of the boss fights are pretty tough, especially early on, but if you're a Metroidvania fan and for whatever reason you haven't picked this one up yet, yes, there are a few performance issues later in the game, they still exist, but it's great, and for a tenner, I think it's worth it. There is also a physical that you can usually find for quite cheap. Don't forget, we have our little Play Asia discount in the description. I know loads of you have just used that to buy Star Ocean 2nd, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. If you missed our review, my goodness, that game has just been... Some games like that, they really do like cheer you up, don't they? And I was having a bit of a rubbish week, and then I reviewed that and I was like, oh yeah, this is all right. So the sale for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, that goes on till November the 6th as well. Everspace took an interesting turn for the developer. They were building like story-based space games before this, and then this actually took a roguelite into space but continued the story through your runs. I thought it was really good. Controls were a bit wonky, and they came up with this weird reason why they couldn't do gyro controls, but yeah, I wasn't too convinced, I gotta be honest. But when you switch the controls around, I think it's option C, something like that, it actually works a lot better, and it is a really, really fun game. Now, what was I reading this week? I was reading about those people that had signed themselves up to go to Mars. You know that Elon Musk wants to do like a Mars base, and they've already like put feelers out for people that would do it, and it would obviously be a one-way trip. Like, that's just, I mean, fair play to them, but I would not do that. Would you do that? One-way trip to Mars? Yeesh. Be absolutely horrific, wouldn't it? Now, Everspace, the Stellar Edition, is just £8.99, and that goes on all the way till November the 15th, and it's matching its cheapest ever price. Very fun game, that. Now, Terraria doesn't get much mention on this channel, even though we put out a video when it came out. I think that's on like 250,000 views or something ludicrous. And I love Terraria, or Terraria, whatever you want to call it. It's 60% off at the moment, down to £9.99. And as far as content goes, I think this has more than, well, I was going to say it has more than Minecraft. It probably does still have more than Minecraft, but obviously it's been years since I originally reviewed it. I don't know if they've carried on adding more, but I know obviously Minecraft they have. Still, it doesn't really matter. It stands on its own 2 feet, and it's like a side perspective Minecraft experience in a really simple way of describing it. I know they added in the Labour of Love content, which was the 1.4.4 update, which expanded the item catalogue. Over 5,000 different items. There's 25 different types of NPCs and 400 plus enemies. So yeah, I think we can safely say that there is more content than Minecraft. If you pick this one up at launch, I'd say download it and try the new update. But if you have never played this, then yeah, definitely consider picking it up. It's a good time to do so, matching its cheapest ever price. Again, until November 6th. So if you're later than that, I'm afraid that sale will be gone. Now, the kids' pick of the week is Portal Knights. That's 70% off. It's another one that looks similar and has obviously taken inspiration from the likes of Minecraft, but they seem to enjoy it. It's just £4.49, and it features different character classes like an RPG. Things like a warrior, a ranger, and a mage. There are boss fights in here as well. You basically travel between randomly generated worlds, a bit like Lego Worlds. And chiefly, because it's a kids pick, it does have 1 or 2 player local co-op. It also has online 1 to 4 player. There's a ton of DLC if they really get into it, and that's on sale as well. And from what I'm told, it's very fun, Dad. You should try it. That sale goes on until November the 6th.
Rebuild the ancient portals and travel across dozens of landscapes. Be creative. Build anything from the smallest house to the...
Journey to the Savage Planet reminded me a little bit of the Outer Worlds, but it was a bit, wasn't quite as good, let's be honest. It's 70% off at the moment, and it's on a smaller scale than that. It doesn't try and compete with it, but I think it's worth noting that they are very different experiences. This one has some elements of something like No Man's Sky. Now, this really upset someone before, because they were like, it's nothing like No Man's Sky. But you are exploring different flora and fauna, investigating around the planet surface that you're on, and you've got different tools like a laser pistol, a rocket booster pack, and a probe. But it's got really like tongue-in-cheek writing. So back on your ship, there's this, I think it's either a TV or a radio that's playing. And it does quite a good bit of world building with that. If you like adventure first-person games, then this is one to consider. Also of note is that it has online multiplayer. So if you want to play with 2 people, I think you can do that either through LAN play or online. There is a DLC as well that's currently half price called Hot Garbage. I don't think that's like a sign, but yeah. It does give you access to a new area with some stuff you can take back into the main one. And finally then, before we look at a few Savaloys, we've got Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, the complete edition at 65% off. And I just like to get a strategy game in these days if I can. I love the Roller Coaster Tycoon games. Look, they're not flawless when you translate them over to a Switch controller, but they still work well enough, and just building your own roller coasters is quite cathartic, quite a chill experience. It's just £6.99, that's 65% off. Comes from the legends over at Frontier. They're like the strategy kings, and you'll be doing all the things you might expect. Building roller coasters, placing things where you want them, and then overpricing for your popcorn and your drinks. There are 60 different shops in there, there's over 20 different animals and rides, and it's very, very fun and potentially a little bit addictive. That sale goes on until November the 9th. Alright, on to my favourite part of the week, it's the Savaloy selection. And we've got 5 Savaloys this week. These games are so cheap, they are less than the price of a UK Savaloy. First up, we've got Yesterday Origins, which is an old school point and click style adventure that's been slightly modernised, but at the moment it's 93% off, taking it down to 93p. That is a bargain, 93 pence. There is not a lot you could get for 93p. I'm racking my brains, I can't think of anything. Then we've got Slime Sand, the Super Slime Edition. Now, this was a game that came out right at the start of the Switch's life cycle. A really unusual game. That's 80% off, down to £2. And it's like a fast-paced Twitch platformer. There are 200 levels and 800 different rooms to work through. Quite a nice little loading game, that. You can pick it up, play it for 20-30 minutes, and then move on to the game that you were actually intending on playing. There is also multiplayer as well. Then you've got City of Brass, which I called the first Persian shooter. And it's a first-person roguelite that has you moving into the city, fighting bosses. You've got like a whip in one hand, you can swing yourself around. There's different abilities and you get your usual 3 different items, pick one, move on, get more powerful and try and make your way through. That's a fun game, that's just £1.61. Vaporum, which is like an old school first-person dungeon crawler, that's just £2.99 at the moment. But if you like those dungeon crawling RPGs, this one's set within a steampunk world and it is a whole lot of fun. We do have a full review. And then finally we have the lovely Submerged. The whole world is submerged and you and your sibling arrive. There's something wrong with them, you're trying to help them, but at the same time you're taking photos of random bits and kind of chilling. So it's obviously not that urgent. It's 88% off at the moment, can't speak. Just 95 pence. Well worth it for a little slightly unique 3D adventure. And that's it for this week. As always, just a big thanks to all of you that do enjoy the content. Every time you share this or click buttons on it, the algorithm goes, yeah, nice one. And it's good for everyone. Thanks to all of you that enjoy the content. Do save yourself some money using the codes in the description. And as always, for all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!